She and her team have been at the venue since last night. That's interesting. We're live. Today is Thursday, October 10th, and 2019. Larry's with us. All I got trying to get him on through the StreamYard was buffering, so we have to go old school again. I'm really sorry. It really puts a lot of pressure on his ability to talk, but we'll just do the best we can. We have 14 with us right now, Larry.
Hi, folks. We're here today. Breaking story this morning. Two acquaintances of Giuliani that he went to, since they are from the Ukraine. He went to them and asked them if they could help in gathering research on Biden and his son and the goings on there. They have actually been charged with federal election law crimes, saying that they put money in an account, foreign money into an account that they allege was going to be used to fund President Trump's campaign. But in any event, the fact that they were helping Giuliani gather information on Biden and his son, believe it or not, the FEC is claiming that is campaign contribution in kind. Now, guys, let me tell you, this whole thing is a stretch. Giuliani called it right this morning or last night when he said this is highly suspect. Normally, the FEC, very seldomly do they actually issue or actually compel the Justice Department to prosecute somebody over campaign violations. Usually it's done through fines. You've all seen it over and over and over. They fine somebody. They don't arrest them for criminal prosecution. But this is confusing in that it looks like it's coming from the Justice Department, which of course would be Barr, but it's coming from the New York division of the Justice Department. And of course we know that the New York division of the Justice Department has done everything in their power to try to get President Trump. And this is just another weapon in their arsenal that they've tried and are trying. So watch it, because basically it's a warning shot to anybody that might be making contributions to President Trump, in kind contributions. Not necessarily money, just anything instead of money that you might contribute to President Trump. They're putting the word out that they're going to prosecute you. And of course, this is designed to hurt President Trump and his fundraising effort. It's insane what they're doing. It's wrong what they're doing. If you're going to do it, fine. Do it for everybody. Don't pick and choose. And just do it to people that support President Trump. That's all I'm getting at. If you're want to do it, fine, but do it for everybody. Don't simply issue fines for people that support Democrats, but arrest people that support President Trump. It's just wrong, folks. It's just the duplicity of law once again. Once again. Now, another thing that's going on, the media is playing up President Trump pulling out of Syria. Now remember, this is the same media that has followed every step of the way for President Trump to do anything for the military. The same media. I mean, oh God, he's a warmonger. He's everything bad that you would want in a president because he is a warmonger. And here's a case where he's pulling our troops out, which you would think would be exactly what the mainstream media and the Democrats, you would think that's exactly what they would want to hear. But oh boy, would you be wrong. Wow, would you be wrong. Because they are now saying that, my God, by pulling out the troops in Syria, by pulling them out, we've left the Kurds wide open. The Kurds are being massacred. And the Kurds are going to let all of the ISIS prisoners, they're going to let them all go because they don't have the wherewithal to keep them. Then they've even gone so far as to say that the Kurds have said, which they have not, by the way, they've gone so far as to say the Kurds plan on letting some 5,000 ISIS soldiers that they have imprisoned loose, and they're turning them loose into Europe. Yes, that's what the media is saying. Now, let's go back to the beginning. President Trump was elected based off one of his promises. One of his promises was to get us out of these never-ending wars in the Middle East. Do y'all remember that one?
Well, yes, and every war in the Middle East will be never ending, won't they?
That's right. Now, to anybody listening to me right now that is concerned and do not want us to pull out of Syria, there's a couple of things I want to ask you. Can you tell me what any of us on this call gain by us being in Syria? Can you? Can you tell me what we gain by being in Syria?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I read this morning was somebody was saying by our pulling out, that forces Israel to go to Russia to help them with protection in Syria because we have let them down. And I just shook my head.
That is not true. Because
Exactly.
if you follow what actually Israel is doing, Israel this morning issued their support for the Kurds. And Israel will in no way engage with the Russians. No way at all. So that's not going to happen. So back to the question. What do we in America gain? Then I would ask this question. How many of you would put your son or your daughters, sons or daughters, how many of you would want your sons or your daughters to die for Syria? How many of you? You see, when we talk about wars in the abstract, which is kind of the problem with the volunteer army, in the volunteer army, less than 1% of the families in America have any attachment anymore to the military. Less than 1%. So when we talk about being in a war in the Middle East, and we come up with these contrived reasons for being in them, it's not really fair, because we don't have anybody in the military, never is. We don't. Most probably. And I can tell you for my part, my daughter, my sons, there's no way I would want my daughter or my sons, if I had any, I have my grandson, I wouldn't want my grandson dying for Syria. I don't. Now, if that makes me cruel, then call me cruel. But you see, the thing that's got to happen in Syria is those countries have to deal with their own problems. They've got to deal with them. And if they don't deal with them, what has happened historically and will continue to happen, if they don't deal with them, then here's where we sit. We sit, as long as we're there, then whatever is manageable. But then, of course, if we can't leave, because if we leave, then it'll go back to what it was that brought us in.
That's what
Guys,
people.
we've been held in this position way too long. Way too long. The only way countries in the Middle East are going to resolve issues long term is for them to resolve them, not us. Did that make any sense to anybody at all? I hope.
Yeah, if they're going to resolve it, they have to do it themselves. I mean, that's part of one of the things that's one of the things that people are fussing about is if we pull out, it's just going to go back to the way it was before we got in. Well, that was the whole point of why you were saying we shouldn't have been in there in the first place.
Right. As long as we're there, the only thing that's going to change from the minute we go into these countries till the minute we leave these countries is how many Americans are going to die. That's all there is. These countries have got to take control of their futures. They've got to do it. And yes, it's going to be ugly. What does anybody think our Civil War was? You think it was cotton candy and hot dogs? No, it was ugly. It's horrible. It was. But we did it. We lived through it. And hopefully we've come out a better country on the other side of it. Every nation has to do it. They have to do it on their own. And President Trump is dealing with this in the most pragmatic way he can possibly address it. He is. They've got to work it out. Now, does that mean that maybe there's going to be a countries that we don't like, quite possibly it will. It very much probably could end up that way. But again, I repeat, is it worth your son or daughter dying for? Is it? Lord knows we've got trouble here at home. We've got people trying to destroy and steal our country right under our nose, right here at home. And yet we're prancing around the world, playing the global police force. And I hate to say it, guys, but we're not setting a very good example for the rest of the world. To be quite honest, we're not. This is about your country. What do you want for your country? It's going to get ugly here. It's already ugly here. But it's going to get worse ugly here. But I can assure you, things could look a lot better here if we didn't spend the massive amounts of our wealth and our treasure in countries like Syria. That's true. Think about it. If we stop involving ourselves in all these Middle Eastern wars that have no end, think about what we can do here at home for our poor, for our infrastructure. Think what we can do here in America if our Congress was as interested in governing this country fairly as they claim we're interested in those countries in the Middle East having honest government. Honest government coming from us, you all now know, is the joke of jokes. It truly is the joke of jokes. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how we sell out in this country. How easily we sell out. Today, we hear, gosh, y'all want another crisis? NBA players, National Basketball Association players. I mean, I'm talking about the really big ones. They get so much money from China because, of course, China makes the Nike shoes and China makes all of these different products. So much money goes into the NBA from China that now the professional athletes that make the multi-million-dollar contracts, they're whining. They're whining. I mean, they're actually siding with China over this country. Why? Well, that's where their money comes from. Oh, I heard it told this morning that, golly gee, China facilitates most all of the basketball franchises to increase their salary cap so those guys like LeBron James, they can make more money. So, of course, they love China. They love China. But you know what? there's any basketball game that's worth watching to me when the basketball players that make the multi-million-dollar contracts value the Chinese government and its isolation, its torture, its imprisonment policies. You know, I don't think it's right to value China over this country. I just don't. Maybe you do. I don't. And I would say to all those basketball players that are getting the multi-million-dollar contracts, hey, hot nuts, you love China so much, get your ass over and play basketball for them. And then watch what happens when you're working for China. Those big salaries will not exist. God, it just makes me sick to my stomach. I didn't think there was anything in the field of sports that could top making me mad compared to the national anthem. I didn't. This does. This is so sick. This is so very, very sick. And then what's terrible still, maybe more terrible still, is that these high-paid, multi-million-dollar basketball players are the idols for so many of our young. Did they not realize what they're doing to our young, teaching our young to despise this country and love a communist country? Do they? I don't know if they even know. They're so stupid. I don't guess they know. But somebody ought to tell them. And then when they get told, I doubt very seriously any of them will get that. These are the most perilous times our country has ever gone through. We're being pulled apart in every single direction you can look at. That's why I tell y'all, we have to win in 2020 or it's over. Can't you see that it's over? Do I have to beg to make you see that it's over if we don't win in 2020? And can't you see we've got a hell of a race ahead of us to win in 2020? Because President Trump has the weight of the world coming down on him. He's got the media after him. He's got the politicians after him, both sides. He's got the Justice Department, my God, or the judicial branch, I should say. It's going to be a tough election. If we lose in 2020, you better know right now, I'm telling you, right now, you better know if we lose in 2020, there is no place you can go on planet Earth that you will be safe. It won't be a place anywhere.
No, because in other countries, they'd rather get rid of the foreigners than their own. That we'll be the first to go if we're somewhere else.
Let me tell you, when America falls, which is the key to why America's got to fall, they know it. The socialist communists know it. When America goes, then they've got the rest of the world easy. All these little countries, all the other countries, they'll go down in a Mexican second. Excuse me saying Mexican second, but they'll go down fast. That's why I say there's no place you can go. There's no place you can buy an island. There's no island you could buy, and I doubt there's many listening to me here that could buy an island. But even if you could buy an island, you won't have a law there until the spread of socialism and communism takes you over as well. We're the glue that holds the world together, the free societies together. And when we're gone, freedom worldwide will be history. History. And it'll be a history that will never be told. Because the first thing they will do when they conquer America is erase our history. And I'm going to leave the history books full of life as it's been for us. And I'm going to leave that there. Don't you see that? Don't you see that's what other regimes have done? Pol Pot, Cambodia, Hitler, Germany. I mean, when they take over, they burn the history books. They'll do the same here. The difference with us is they're actually burning the history books while we're still free, while we're still here. And we're letting them. I assure you, if you were to go to school today, if you went to high school today, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and you studied history in America, you're going to be shocked at how it does not line up with what we were taught when we were in the same grades. Not going to even be close.
No, it talks about how negative.
If you don't believe me, check it out for yourself. You can check that out for yourself. What, Mariana?
It's going to talk about how negative we are. How we've just, been empire building and hurting other people and destroying people by war and trouble and mistreating everybody.
I'm just saying, folks, I've lectured you now for 30 minutes. I didn't mean to, but I swear I get...
You get hooted up too.
Yeah, I do.
Just different from what everybody else.
I do.
At least you get hooted up on the truth rather than nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's take the questions. I called the time.
All right, I'm going to scroll. Let me scroll back up to the top.
Oh, and by the way, if you wonder how many troops we're pulling out of Syria, does anybody really know?
It's Gloria, I think, said 50. Somebody said 50.
250 is how many we're pulling out of Syria. 250.
It's not a very big army.
And I will say, as great as our soldiers are, that is not a very formidable size force. And they're the forgotten 250. We didn't even know how many we had in there until this flap came along. What you got, Miriam?
Do you think having Trey Gowdy in the mix is going to hurt or help Trump? Paul asked that.
It depends on which Trey Gowdy shows up. Trey Gowdy, if he chooses to help, can be a tremendous asset. But if he chooses to himself for the future, no, he won't be good for us.
Is there a chance that he's just going in to feed insider information to the Democrats?
I shouldn't think that just yet. I wouldn't just yet. We must do what we should do always, and that is judge his deeds. Judge what he does. It will show itself pretty fast. But to make a blanket judgment right now would be wrong. Because as I said, if he chooses to help, he can be a great help.
Okay. I know you know about Biden, Schiff, Pelosi, and Romney's kids involved in Ukrainian gas. James asked what you know about this.
Well, I know for certain Biden and Pelosi, believe it or not, I have not as yet found proof, real definitive evidence of Romney's family involved. I'm not saying they're not, I'm just saying I haven't seen evidence of it yet.
And well, Schiff doesn't have kids, but I guess he himself is involved, right?
Well, Schiff is involved, but he is post the event. Yeah, I guess the best way to say it, he has taken an active role against President Trump in the Ukraine and in the gas thing, but he's not a part of it.
Okay, do you think the Democrats are pushing for a war with Iran to hurt President Trump next year?
They're doing everything they can to get President Trump to violate his promise. You know, everybody in Washington remembers George H. Bush when he said, you know, absolutely no new taxes. And he made that pledge over and over again to the public, over and over again. And then once he was elected, the Democrats trapped him and forced him to have to raise the taxes. Consequently, that was a big reason, one of the big reasons he lost his second term. But everybody in Washington knows the value that if they can get Trump to go against one of his promises made, they think they've got him. And so they're doing everything they can to goat him instead of getting us out of the wars in the Middle East. They're doing everything they can to prod him, to get him to start an aggressive action in the Middle East, so that they can slam him and say he broke his word, broke his promise.
And I would think that the media is also going to push because they're being told, I would expect they're being told to push that we need to be there, and therefore Trump's making a mistake because he's not dealing with what needs to be dealt with. So he can't win no matter which way he goes.
Well, here's what I know. This is not my opinion. This is what I know. The Democrats are using, once again, China, just like they're using China to go after Trump with trying to get him obstructing justice and asking China to do something illegal, which he did not do. But they're going to claim he did. But China is also instigating activities in Iran designed specifically to get Trump to take a form of a first strike action. And President Trump knows about it, and he is avoiding it. And how long he can avoid it, I don't know. But he knows it's going on, so that's better for him.
Wow.
What else have you got?
Okay, I'm going down to see. I have to scroll through all these. MW says we're not the only NATO country. The others need to step up.
That's right. That should be obvious to everybody. Why is it always us? You know, we carry fully 85% or better of all activities for the UN. We do. Yet we have one vote. We have the same vote as the smallest, dinkiest country in the world. Economic country, if there was one. That's one vote. And they pay nothing. We pay 85% of all the bills. We got one vote. No greater vote than Ikigami land or Rwanda or Nipponese land. We have one vote. That's it.
Are drugs still being grown in Afghanistan and protected by our military?
Yes. Yes, they are. Now, the military is not, quote unquote, protecting the drugs, but the military is protecting the farmers. That was one of the agreements we made. Now, the problem is the farmers are growing poppy. Yes, we are. And yes, they are. Now, I can tell you, just so you don't get blown away by that, one of Afghanistan's worth nothing. You know, it's worth nothing. So the biggest industry of that country is poppy. And so to go in and get them to convert their poppy to, say, soybeans ain't happening. And we knew it going in. It's not going to happen. So.
Were they not growing other things before we went in?
No.
Okay.
Not in any way to compare to the growing of poppy. I mean, no way. And we made a decision going in that part of the agreement was that it made no sense to go in and wipe out their farming industry because we would lose the people if we did. So consequently, we're basically protecting their crops. What you got?
What's with the power outage in California?
You know, all I know is what they're saying, which is last year, the high winds and things took down so many of the utility poles, and that started fires, and they're being sued by phenomenal lawsuits. And so in the interest of protecting the companies from all of these lawsuits, they're literally shutting down the power so that the wind can't blow it over and set off the fires. Now, is that the whole truth? I don't know. That's what I understand it is.
Gloria Julia says the media needs to be held accountable. Trump needs to change back the Smith-Mundt Act revised in 2012.
Now what? I didn't understand what you said.
He needs to something with the Smith-Mundt Act of 2012. He needs to change back the Smith-Mundt Act that was revised in 2012.
I didn't hear what that act was. Say it again.
Smith-Mundt.
I don't know what you're saying. So whatever.
Smith-Mundt Act. I don't know what that is. So
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So excuse me for not knowing that one.
okay.
What else?
Somebody thought we had 1,000 soldiers in Syria. What about the port, Long Beach port in California?
That, my friends, is a treasonous act by Obama. If that's what you're referring to, when he turned that port over to China. Is that what the listener's referring to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was probably one of second to what he did with Iran. That was, add that to his list of treasonous actions that he took against this country.
And then the treachery with what he approved of for against Trump. Do you think Bolton is the whistleblower?
No. For all that Logan is, traitor, he is not.
Nature Girl asked, is the president hiring Gowdy to neutralize his value to Hitler? I think they mean Hillary, maybe.
You're cutting out. I'll say that one again.
Is the president hiring Gowdy to neutralize his value to Hitler? I think she means she's referring to Hillary.
I don't know. I just don't know. I think he's hiring him because supposedly, now let me tell you about this. Supposedly, Gowdy never lost a case as a prosecutor. Now, when you can boast as a prosecutor, you have never lost a case, then you're telling somebody like me that you've rigged many a case. You know, it stands to reason that if you've been judicially straight, I mean, if you've done everything by the book, you're going to lose a case or two. But what Gowdy must have done in order to keep that record, if that record is true, is he would have had to have withheld exculpatory information. I mean, you know, there's a number of tricks that a prosecutor can use that are dirty to get a conviction. And that's when I have trouble. You know, if you're a prosecutor and all you care about is getting a conviction, then I got problems with you. You should care as a prosecutor about getting to the truth.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
April.
I got a little problem with him.
Okay. April said Giuliani said something about watching. I think it was Romania. Do you know what he means?
Mm-hmm.
Are you allowed to say?
Not really. Just know what I have told y'all. Now, what have I told y'all? I'm not speaking of Romania per se. But I think I have told you that the Ukraine is not the only country that we have abused through our government officials. Did you hear me? The Ukraine's not the only one. We've done it for years to many countries and are doing it still to many countries, if that helps you.
Didn't President Obama give China internet privileges to software and so on?
Yes, to my knowledge, he signed something, but I can't remember what it was. Like I said, I'm no internet kind of person, so I don't remember what exactly he did, but there was something having to do with the internet that he did do.
I think he turned it over to.
Turned it over to the UN. That was late.
Right, and I think the deal was to then give it, the UN deal was to give it to China, I think. Is Trump aware of Agenda 21, 2030, 2050? They're all communist agenda.
I can't say any more than is. You'll have to extrapolate from that what you want to, but that's all I can say is yes.
So Tamara asks, what's the deal with the president and the Turkey leaders with the Kurds in Syria? The Turkey leader just said, which is the Erdogan, I guess, just said he's going to threaten Europe by releasing all 3 million Syrians into Europe.
Yeah, that's part of the trick. President Trump is telling Erdogan in Turkey that he better back off the Kurds, because if he doesn't, we're going to hit Turkey with some counter responses that Turkey's not going to like at all. Then Turkey is saying back in return, you know, hey, you push us around, we're going to release these prisoners into the European society. And nobody's really worried about what Turkey's saying, because what President Trump can do to Turkey, they don't want to mess with President Trump. Believe me, they don't.
Do you have any thoughts on the senior executive service? Do they work with the CIA?
Yeah, look, the senior executive service is wrong. It should have never been established like so many other things. And there will be a day when President Trump will deal with that. He cannot right now. So much of what is wrong, you know, so much that's wrong that's institutional, he can't touch until his second term. But with the second term, a lot of institutional problems are going to be done away with.
Deb, you are asking about the FBI arresting 2 men inquiring into the Ukraine and associated with Rudy. If you go back and listen to the beginning, You should be able to hear what Larry said because that's where he started, unless you want to just give something quick. We have 100 people, by the way, right now.
Yeah, what?
We have 104 people with us right now.
Okay, great. What was that question?
She was asking about what about the FBI that arrested 2 men inquiring into Ukraine and associated with Rudy.
Well, let me give a recap of that since everybody wasn't here for that. It is very rare that the Federal Election Commission, FEC, recommend prosecution. Normally, they recommend fines if there is a violation. Now, in this case, they're dealing with in-kind services and money put in an account. But you see, money put in an account, the government has to prove that the money put in this account that they set up was to go to President Trump. And guys, you can't prove that. You know, you can't prove what they might. I mean, it's just a matter, you know, they say they were going to buy $325,000 worth of hot dogs. You can't prove they weren't. Ordinarily, the process would be you let them spend that money, and then if it goes to wrong purposes, now you've got something to arrest them on. So forget that money in the account. They say it was not for the campaign, and nobody can prove it was. So then what's left in this arrest is in-kind services. They're saying that when Rudy Giuliani asked them to check into this Biden stuff that was going on, the fact that they did it, that was in-kind services to Trump's campaign. Well, Trump's campaign didn't ask them to do it. Rudy Giuliani did. And Rudy Giuliani was representing him in a case. He was his attorney. It's bizarre. Not to mention the fact that it's normally fined. Normally they fine you. You see it all the time, folks. You see every day somebody in an election did something and they were fined so much money. But you very seldom ever hear of anybody being prosecuted for a federal election crime. Get real. Even if it was a crime, even if they could prove it was a crime. And I like what Giuliani says. The timing's interesting. The timing's very interesting. What you got?
Do you know anything about why California made it illegal to use ham radios? Well, I don't think it was the ham radios that were illegal, but the something that would extend the reach.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry. Look, California, who knows what the hell they're doing? California is so much in front of what America's going to look like that that's the only value I see in looking at California. I mean, what they're doing within 6 months to a year after Trump is defeated in 2020, if he is, we will look like California. But now let me ask you this. If the nation looks like California, if we get as a nation in the shape California's in, Where do we go to bail us out? Remember, so much of your tax money, yours, wherever you are, whatever state you're in, your tax money goes to bail out the failed policies of California. A piece of your money's going to California. But when the whole nation starts being California, who do we go to bail us out? You know what? You want to know what the answer is to that?
Nobody.
Nobody. So you know what the answer to that is?
Downhill.
If there's nobody to bail us out, then guess what? That's why they have to nationalize the banks. That's why they have to take all of our money. They don't have any place to get it. What I've tried to tell y'all over and over, the first thing they will do, act numero one, first act. I promise you, the first act they will commit is nationalize financial institutions.
It's a scary thought. We've got to make sure Trump wins so that doesn't have to happen.
I want you to think about the money you've got right now, however much or however little it is. Think about it. Because I don't want you coming to me 6 months to a year after we lose and saying, why didn't you tell us? Because by God, I've told you over and over and over, they're going to take your damn money. They're going to take your gold. They're going to take your silver. You're not going to be left with a dime. Now, I'm not a financial planner, so I'm not telling you this in the interest of telling you what to do with your money. Do what you want to do with it. This is my opinion. My opinion based off countries I have seen before, what they've done. And I have no reason to believe they'll do any different here.
James asked, do you think the impeachment stuff will backfire on the Democrats and end up exposing all their corruption?
Well, if I'm able to do my job, yes. If I'm not, no.
That's why it's important, folks, to keep Larry in the game.
I didn't say it for that reason. I'm just saying I'm doing everything I can to get it out in time. I'm trying. I didn't mean it to sound like you got to help me. That's not what I meant by it. But
you didn't say it, Larry. I jumped in there. We've got 110 people with us, and Larry has given you some incredible information today that you probably haven't heard anywhere else. And we need to keep him able to do the kind of work he does. And he needs support to do that. There is somebody who promised to match any gift up to $25, and she'll match it multiple times. She will only do $25 per person. So if anybody is able to donate 25, your gift will actually be 50 by the time this donor has matched it. So if you, but I will need to know about it so I can call her and tell her how much to send today. So once you've donated, send me a text and let me know. I don't understand your question, Teresa. I heard that a 1,500 FBI set out in DC. Is that true? I don't know what you mean by set out.
Read that again.
I heard that 1,500 FBI set out in DC. Is that true?
1,500 FBI, I would assume FBI agents were sent out into Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
That's not true.
And was it true that the White House was on lockdown a couple days ago?
Was not.
Folks, be careful who you listen to.
Now, if it was on lockdown, it would have been just a security test, or somebody could have left a bag sitting somewhere. I mean, that kind of lockdown happens quite frequently. But as far as an official lockdown because of something, significant, no, that did not happen, I assure you.
Okay. Tamara asked, did you know a group of good reporters are at Gitmo and Fort Meade covering the military tribunals? They're called Sea Vine International Network.
Who sent that in?
Tamara.
Well, there are military tribunals, I would assume, go on every day about matters concerning the military. Speeding tickets, AWOL cases. I mean, there are cases all the time. I don't believe those are the kind of cases you're talking about, but you should be, because that's the only cases that are going on.
People are getting very hootered up, and that.
Well, look, all I can tell you is this. I'm saying they're not. Somebody is saying that there are. And once again, I'm talking about outside of the normal realm of judicial responsibility for the military. One of them's got to be right, and one of them's got to be wrong. The only thing is, I just hope that if, in my case, I'm right, and the other people putting out the stuff that there are all kinds of cases going on through tribunals that are having to do with all this stuff. I would just hope they'll admit it.
Yeah. Cindy asks, hang on, I gotta scroll back up. Do you know anything about China owning windmill or solar farms right next to military bases, and they have the ability to do an EMP strike from them?
I do know they have windmill farms that operate at a total financial loss close to military installations. Now, whether they have the ability to do EMP strikes, I don't know. But it's been a point of concern how they keep operating at such a loss. But they didn't. What else?
Linda suggests somebody has too much time on their hand using all these false rumors to entertain themselves.
Well, I don't want to pick at anybody, but I do get very fatigued with some some of the stuff, y'all, that's out there on the internet. I swear, dude. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just, if you could see through my eyes, if y'all could see what I see, you could know what I know, and then this stuff pops up all the time, it would drive you crazy as well. But here's what I've got to do. I've got to hop off. I'm starting to get nauseous, and we've got to raise money today. Really do. So, yeah, if you'll talk to people about it, I don't think they'll hear me go up.
Okay. All right, Larry. Go do what you have to do. Thanks. All right, he's gone. James, the Marines being called up to arrest people with sealed indictments. I have asked Larry that question over and over. We've asked it here over and over. There are no sealed indictments. That's not the way it works, is what his answer has been every time. The Marines being called up to arrest people, that's not the way it works. We are not under martial law. Posse comitatus does not allow the military, the Marines, any military to be involved in action on U.S. soil. So that is not true. And we have heard people talking about stuff, and I know I've heard that discussed. And if Larry is the truth teller that he has proven over and over again to be, he says that information isn't true. Now, when I heard it the other day, thank you, Cindy. When I heard it the other day, this person was saying, I know all these 4-star generals and people in the CIA and FBI who give me intel. Well, you know, Larry's worked with, generals consulted him before the Gulf War started back in 2001. So, because they knew he had experience in the Middle East. And so they wanted to know what's going to happen if we go into the Middle East. And he said, if we go into the Middle East, you need to make a decision. We go in and we're there forever, or you don't go in at all. Because if you go in and you pull out, they will immediately go back to what they were doing. That's just the way, that's the nature of who they are and how they work. Okay, Nature Girl, I didn't, anyhow, I still asked Larry, and he said that's not how it works with the Marines. So that's, so I don't know. When and how did you send your phone number and email address, James? I'm not sure. If you didn't do it today, then I don't know. Send it again. So I will put my contact information in the chat here. I forgot that I could do it with my cell phone, so I don't have to do it on my computer. So Larry's PayPal account is nicholslive@aol.com, and anybody who can do anything through PayPal, nicholslive@aol.com, he gets that money within minutes. So as soon as you get an email verifying that your money has been sent, it'll be showing up. Why won't he talk about Field McConnell? Because he doesn't have a relationship with him, at least not now. He doesn't need to talk about Field McConnell because he talks about the people directly, what's going on in DC, because he knows exactly what's going on. And so that's why he doesn't need to talk about secondhand information from somebody else. The website nicholslive.com has a donate page where it will show the direct link to PayPal. It will give you Larry's mailing address, 58 Kensington Drive, 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034, and Arkansas is AR. 72034. He can accept cash only. It's the only way that you can send funds to him through the mail. My cell phone number is there. If you need to donate in some other way, I'll help you find another way to do it. So, folks, whatever you can do, please do. MJ, we are talking about doing another book. Right now, he is spending so much time working that he doesn't have time to do anything more. What's happening this October 18 and 19, Larry has no idea. He hasn't heard anything about that, and I don't know if there's anything about it. The IG report is up to Barr. Anything that Trump has released, Barr is deciding what is legit to release and when. Okay, I was just reading the other comments. So, all right, thank you for being here. Donate what you can, please. He's in pretty desperate straits. And I know he's exhausted. He's been working since 7 o'clock this morning again. And I suspect with all the stuff going on that he'll be working late again tonight. I can't tell you what he's doing or who he's doing it with because he doesn't tell me. And I get to hear about what's going on with you right here. So his news to me is as fresh as it is to you. So thanks for being here, and we will talk tomorrow. And if you want to join us on the conference call, I didn't realize the time. We're going to get on that number right now, 712-451-0725. I'll put that quickly in the, oh, I can't, my cell phone just died. The access code is 492215. That information is in the description box right under the video. So thanks, folks, for being here. God bless you. Bye.